Have you ever struggled with your art style? With coming up with new ideas, figuring out what to draw, what to practice, what kind of voice you have, what you want to say as an artist? Well, I have. And I think we're not so different, you and I. However, I have recently finished my notebook, which I started in 2021. This is 4 years in the making, and I really feel like it's captured my journey from completely clueless to now someone who has a better idea of what she wants to do and what kind of themes I want to explore in my art. So I thought it would be interesting to give you a little sketchbook tour and show you around my brain, essentially. Excuse my cat's butt, it is very fluffy. Right, so this is an art creation brand, and actually I think this is my new favorite sketchbook brand because it is very cheap, but it has lots of pages and it definitely holds mixed media pieces very, very well. I think these cost about 7 or 8 euros, so super affordable. In my early pages, you'll see there's a lot of gesture work. That's because as kind of a noob, someone who was wanting to just improve my skills, I thought that I needed to do that, and actually, do you know what? I absolutely did. I should do that more now still, but this was kind of a nice default, right? Just think, if I don't know how to draw, I'll just sketch whoever I can see at the beach. I'll sketch some images. I'll just try to figure out gestures. I'll try to figure out energy, basically. As you can see, I'm not particularly good at this exercise, and there's also not very much personality in my sketches. Actually, my best sketches I will blur out because they're members of my family who probably want to remain private and not shown online. But yeah, these are very much observational sketches, not a lot of color. It's fine. I started this notebook really with my sister, actually. We were both practicing gestures, so it was a cool exercise, but it never really captured my full attention, if you will. This is a sketch of my partner. He looks nothing like this, but here we are. As you can see, yeah, this is September 2021, so quite a while back. This is actually quite fun. I made this gouache painting of a little fantasy landscape. It's not too bad, but it's all the same kind of saturation, right? Which means it's quite flat, I think. But you know what? For someone who never practices with gouache and never practices landscapes, I'm not mad at it. These are sketches of critical role characters. I actually think these are quite fun. I tried very purposefully to keep it super loose, to not worry about facial structure and proportions and stuff like that. I just wanted to blah something on the page, and yeah, I think it worked quite well. Hand studies, because you can never study too many hands. And yeah, you can see like early on I just had these sketches. I just had sketches, like random bits and bobs, some observational, but it's kind of meandering a bit. This, I wish I had written down the artist. This isn't a full copy of somebody's work, but it was inspired by this one artist who makes a lot of mushroom girl portraits. I wish I wrote down her name, but yeah, I just made something inspired by her. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little bit of golden pen here, which is very fun. This is probably my worst spread in the entire sketchbook, so we don't have to dwell on that too long. This is not great either. I quite like these martial fighters though. A couple of portraits of varying success. These are actually sketches from a tarot deck that I have. This is from my D&D tarot deck, and I love these illustrations. They're so beautiful, so I just kind of resketched some of the compositions, some of the characters, which are really nice. Aha! Okay, I love Magritte, the painter, the one who has the, what is it? This is not a pipe painting. I particularly love his clouds, his paintings of a person with their back towards the viewer. So I was just kind of sketching some stuff. I probably sketched this after seeing an exhibit of his work in Barcelona. You can bet there's always a little bit of Magritte in my work. Yeah, I freaking love him. It's becoming a little bit more interesting now. We've got some looser sketches, interesting studies of my chunky cat. And yeah, at this point, we're actually coming to a conceptual thing that I assigned myself. I don't remember how I came up with these concepts, but I just told myself I need to come up with something around the themes of treasure, of greed, of chains and stuff like that. So I tried out a few sketches, a few compositions, and I actually came up with this thing here, which I'm still working on today. So this was in 2022, it's now 2024, and I'm still thinking about this idea. So this is just like a really good example of how long it takes for one idea to come to fruition. It's now 2 years later and I'm still figuring this out. This sketch has evolved a little bit. You'll see it actually later on in the sketchbook, but I'm now I'm planning to turn it into a stained glass piece, which I think will be really awesome. But yeah, this all came up in November 2022, so, you know, ages ago. And then around here I was also playing around with perfume bottles, poison pour deux, so poison for two, again with the Magritte style clouds here. So the influences are always, they're ever present. A couple more observational sketches, cats, because of course, cats, a bit more Magritte, because of course, Magritte. I feel like you really see a turning point in 2022 in my style, because I'm actually practicing things I'm interested in. It's a little bit more intentional. So for instance, this page, this is not my style. These are copies from Joann Sfar, who is a comic book artist, and he has this very distinctive pen work. And I just thought it would be really interesting to reproduce it. I made some notes about how to kind of give it the motion and the feeling that he has in his drawings. And then this page is another artist study. This is Ulla Thynell. You can see her name here. She's definitely one of my favorite artists ever. And so I'm just so mesmerized by her pieces. I really wanted to break down what it was that captured my attention so well. And so there's a few things, right? There's the textures she uses, obviously the colors. I think I really love these bluish, greenish tints with some bright pinks and like this really nice sort of pen, black pen. But then there's also how she simplifies animals and kind of makes their shapes even more elegant. I don't know, there's a lot of stuff to study on her style, but this is definitely the most beautiful page in my sketchbook. I tried to do it a little bit more and tried to make my own composition based on what I learned on this page. It's definitely not as successful as her work, obviously, but it is a really interesting exercise to try to figure out how an artist uses their skills to communicate certain ideas and certain feelings. So obviously not to fully steal that, but to better understand their version of the craft and how you can maybe make your own. This is a fun page where I used my partner's style for the animal's body, and then I tried to make Ulla's style for the heads, and then it just kind of devolved into something else. But yeah, pretty fun to try and mix and match things. I was still very inspired and a little bit obsessed by Ulla Thynell, so I tried to come up with a stained glass pattern using one of her characters. It's funny looking back now, this is not a very good pattern, I don't think, but it's cool to see me try it. Okay, we're moving on to 2023. A little sketch of Barcelona. Some lizards. You'll see a bunch of lizards in my sketchbooks because I'm always trying to draw dragons and I'm really bad at sketching dragons. But lizards are the closest thing we have to dragons, so I really need to study them more. I'm using pastels here on this page. It was fine. It was fun. This page. Okay, this was a very ambitious page. This was when I went to my 1 month of art school, and I had to come up with a final project to show by the end of the 6 weeks. And I really wanted to make this extremely ambitious, extremely intricate stained glass piece. And so you'll see like there's a up and a down, and then there's a character reaching out to another character, and it's a human and a dragon, and whoa, there's a lot of ideas here. So that's why I kept the bookmark here, because I think there's more stuff to explore, but maybe in a couple years this will make more sense and I'll have developed this idea a bit better. Right now, too complicated, so we moved on. This is just me messing around with pastels again. This is Hank Green. I quite like this one. I also like that I played with blackout paper around the sketch. Not too bad, not too bad. And yeah, this is when we're really starting to see a lot more stained glass patterns. This is supposed to be one. These are supposed to be trial compositions as well for a Lilith-inspired piece. I really wanted to make a Lilith piece for a bar that I really loved in Barcelona called Lilith and Sons. They make great cocktails. And so I ended up making this piece. I actually have made a painting of this, and then I figured out a way to turn it into a stained glass pattern, which I still haven't made, but yeah, this is one of the first sketches of my Lilith stained glass thing. These, there's a series of these outside of the sketchbook. I also made more of these. These are my weird men. These happened because I was feeling burnt out after the 6 months where I attended art school. I also kept working. I kept my freelance work on the side, and it was way too much to do both at the same time. And so these were kind of a representation of how I was feeling. Just completely overwhelmed and sad and bloated. Here's me working out a composition to illustrate the idea of art looking at art, of a person looking at a painting and a person being art, and the painting being art. So it's kind of meta. It's fine. Here's another stained glass pattern, except this one is 3D. I have not made anything in 3D so far. I'm very intimidated by it. I will get to it at some point, but I will probably make something a little bit easier than a magician's hat to start with. These are a mix of, well, this is an observational sketch when I was in Paris. These are copies from posters from a magician, from an illusionist, from a really cool book I have. Observational sketch from my holiday in Andalusia. This was actually a practice sketch for a video I made on my sister's Instagram, or, well, actually it's also on YouTube. And yeah, so is this. No, actually this was the final version, I think. Yeah. Listen, not every page is a winner. It's fine. Another lizard, because dragons. And this is my Christmas witch idea. I have actually shown this on a vlog before, but this is me trying to work out how to make my idea of a witch holding a fireball in a Christmas landscape work. I haven't made this yet, but I will eventually. This is also for my sister's channel. For context, I made a series of videos where I explained scientific notions as a voiceover, and then as the visual, I was drawing something related to that. So yeah, it was pretty cool. This is actually from the Mini Small book. I got her book where she gives you 30 ideas to fill your sketchbook, and some of it is related to watercolor and stuff like that. So I made this following her step-by-step instructions, and they were so good. Like I genuinely think this looks amazing. So I really want to do more of her step-by-step tutorials. I quite like these cats, but I don't know if they're copyright free or not. I saw them on somebody's post on Instagram. To me, they look like they're from Canva. Like the image comes from Canva. But I don't know if that means it's copyright free or if it belongs to an artist. I tried to ask the question, didn't get an answer. So I can't really do anything with this, but I love the idea of the intertwining tails and then the symmetry between the cats. That also really speaks to me. I love symmetry. So, and then it looks like a Celtic knot. I love it, I love it. So maybe I'll take this idea and put my own spin on it, but yeah. Oh, this is my actual stained glass pattern for the stained glass cat I made. And then these are the pieces I used to trace on glass. Very cute. This is where I start using tabs, because I can tell at this point I'm reaching the end of the sketchbook. And this is when I'm really starting to get a vibe, to get good ideas, and to kind of find my style, I think, or at least find sort of a voice. There's something here. This is me being way over ambitious though, kind of to harken back to this page. I'm still trying to figure out how to tell a story. Here's the idea. I want to tell a story. I want each piece to stand alone, but to all of them, when you put them together, tell one cohesive story, which is insane. So I've abandoned this for now, but this is the idea. Aha, we've made it back to this sketch from earlier, the one with the chains and the crowns and the hands. As you can see, this is getting definitely refined. I've actually redone this sketch on my tablet on Procreate, and it now looks pretty neat, and I could definitely just get started now and use it and make it into stained glass. So yeah, it has been 2 years in the making and it's still not done, so maybe it will be 3 years in the making. I've added a tab here because this sketch is inspired by the St. George's Day, Sant Jordi in Catalonia, where people celebrate with a book, a rose, and dragons everywhere. If you don't know, the story of St. George is that he slayed the dragon. I don't remember how books or roses are connected specifically, but I love that as a visual. First of all, you know me and dragons. I love a dragon, and then I also love books. So I really want to make something around Sant Jordi, and this is my sketch. It's not a particularly good sketch. It's definitely not ready for anything, but this is a tab to remind myself to keep brainstorming on this. It's just a little bit of fun actually using my art supplies for the first time in my life. I have a lot of art supplies that I don't use because I'm too scared to use them, which is not acceptable. So a friend came to visit and she really pushed me to get out of my own way and actually use what I have. So that was a lot of fun. This I saw from an Instagram ad. An extremely expensive dress that I would never be able to afford had a really cool dragon pattern, so I just copied the dragon. And just a couple of random sketches here. At this point, I was trying to not overthink it and just kind of fill the page, just put down whatever. What if there were eyes everywhere? What could we do with that? Oh, this is interesting. I don't think I should go into this too much in this one because I am planning to make a video all about Magritte, but as you can see, once again, it's very much inspired by Magritte's work, but I won't get into it. This is a little preview on the future video. Here we've got another tab. This is like if I had any time or inspiration whatsoever, I would turn my website into something cool. As it is, I prefer to dedicate my time to actually making art, which is hard enough with a job and hobbies and everything else. My classic witchy cat, of course. Here's me trying to turn the witchy cat into a dragon. I like the witchy cat, I like it, but it's a little bit cute, you know, it's a little bit too cutesy and girly, and I would love it to have some teeth, or yeah, I don't know exactly how to change it, but yeah. This is another Magritte study, cute little butterfly dragon. These are notes I made from the Summer Space Festival I attended the other day, which is really, really interesting. And that's basically it. This bug was on my kitchen window, and this is my mug. And then I just pasted some surrealism stuff. And that's the end of my sketchbook. 4 years in the making, 3 years in the making, several years in the making, and I really think that you can see a huge difference between the beginning, when all I was doing was studies, copying stuff, struggling my way through this sketchbook, to today, where I'm a lot more intentional in making notes. I'm exploring different versions of dragons, of witchcraft, of Magritte-inspired compositions. Yeah, I really think this shows a pretty sizable evolution. So I'm very proud of myself and it's gonna be time to start the next sketchbook.